Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
Okay, I would like to call this meeting to order for Crete Monee School District 201 regular board meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, 6:30 p.m. Roll call. Mr. Secretary, please.
Mr. Albrecht?
Here.
Mr. Gallegos is here. Mr. Sawalish?
Here.
Ms. Zeit-Stumbris? Absent. And Ms. Woolfolk?
Here.
Dr. Hall?
Here.
And President Brown.
Here. Let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and mission statement. Pledge of Allegiance led by Board Secretary Mr. Gallegos, and mission statement led by our Vice President Dr. Hall.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our mission statement is to engage and empower our students to positively impact their community and future.
Thank you both. We do have a reason to go into closed session, but I would like a motion to move item number 5, public comments, ahead of closed session, as well as item number 9, Bravo, following public comments.
I move to move public comment up before closed session.
I second.
So do we need any comments? Any comments on that motion? So we're gonna have, do we need 2 motions for that, or just one? Doctor, we need 2 motions to move 9B? We want to move 9B up, 2 motions? Okay, so that's one motion,
to move
so-
closed session back, right?
yes.
Okay.
That's public comments forward in front of closed session, okay?
So
That's one, so that's one motion. Nelson moved it, or he moved it, and did we get a second on that?
yes, Dr. Hall.
Okay. Do we need a roll call?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Woolfolk?
Aye.
Mr. Sawalish?
Aye.
Mr. Gallegos is an aye. Mr. Albrecht?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
And President Brown.
Aye, motion passed. I also would like a motion to move 9 Bravo 1 and 2 right after public comments and before closed session.
I move.
Moved by Dr. Hall,
Second.
second by Board Member Gallegos. Any questions or comments on that?
Okay.
If not, roll call.
Mr. Albrecht?
Aye.
Mr. Gallegos is an aye. Mr. Sawalish?
Aye.
Ms.
Aye.
Ms.
Sorry.
Woolfolk?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
And President Brown.
Aye, motion carry. All right, so we are at public comments at this point.
We do have 2, sir.
We have 2, and I
Right.
ask Dr. Cognanis to read those for me.
I certainly will.
Thank you.
These emails were submitted prior to our meeting this evening. The first email is from Jennifer Smith. It says, "Hi, I hope this email finds you well. I wanted to express my opposition in removing the word Talala from the Talala Elementary School name. This is my first year teaching in the 201U, and I work both at CSK and Talala. I am also a parent of students who currently attend CSK and in the middle school. Furthermore, I am an alumni of the C201U, including Talala Elementary. I attended Talala School in the 90s, where we were a tight-knit community. I remember each of my teachers and the impact they had on me. The friendships I made at Talala have lasted over 35 years. To this day, those friends and I call ourselves #Talala Kids. The name of the school became part of our identity. I was so excited this year to return to my alma mater as a teacher. I know many of the current teachers who have many, many years vested in Talala, who would be disappointed to see it under a different name. I urge you to be thoughtful in this process, as Talala is a special place for many people. Please take careful consideration as your decision affects many. Sincerely, Jennifer Smith. And then we have a second email from Amy Gert, and she writes, Dear members of Crete Monee School District Board 201U School Board, I hope this letter finds you well. I am writing to express my concerns regarding the proposed renaming of Talala Elementary School. As an alum of both 201U School District and having attended Talala Elementary myself, I believe it is important to consider several key factors before making such a significant change. Talala Elementary School carries a rich history and a tradition that is deeply rooted in its community. The name Talala is not just a label. It represents the legacy and the values that have been upheld by generations of students, teachers, and families. 30 years later, former classmates and I still refer to ourselves as Talala kids. Renaming our school could inadvertently erase this historical context and the sense of identity that it provides to both past and current community members. In addition to the impact of both present and past stakeholders, renaming Talala incurs costs for updating materials that could be better spent on enhancing student learning and well-being. I urge the board to take the funds and spend them on things that will directly impact both students' wellness and their academic growth and achievement. Lastly, it is essential to involve students, parents, and faculty, alum, and residents in a transparent decision-making process. Before moving forward with this decision, please seek community input and ensure that all voices are heard and considered. While I appreciate the intention being behind the proposal, I urge the board to reconsider due to the historical, cultural, and financial impacts. Preserving Talala's name honors our past and sustains community spirit. We saved Talala once before. Please help us preserve Talala's name and allow the Talala kids' identity to live on for generations to come. Thank you for considering these points. Amy Gert.
Thank you, Superintendent. As far as other public comments,
We'll wait till the discussion of it.
okay. All right. All right. So we want to thank you, and I must say I did submit a response to those emails that were sent to me and the board as well. All right. We're going to number 9. It was pulled out of our action report, number 9B. Board of Education 1 and 2. Could I have a motion to approve the name change of Coretta Scott King Magnet School?
Any discussion?
Yeah, make the motion
Typically, you
first.
make the motion
So moved.
first.
Okay.
Moved by Dr. Hall. Second?
I will second.
You got second?
Mhm.
Okay. Second by Board Member Secretary Mr. Gallegos. Open up for discussion.
So I've got a couple of questions. First, what prompted this, or what was there a groundswell to contemplate the name change?
Again, I had brought in, I know Alex kind of brought it up the last meeting, but I had brought it out a couple times, I think in the past, as old business or new business, I can't recall. And it just was something I looked at to have a school connected with the villages itself, because we have Monee Elementary, we have Crete Elementary, and both of the schools in University Park is not equated to a name of University Park, as well as Talala. And I said, you know, you know me since I've been sitting here and not in this seat, that, and I hate to use the word inclusive these days, but togetherness, that there be a connection with the school as well as the village. Not to change the names itself, just
Right.
to add that component of the village with the building.
Do we know how much, I mean, we've seen this in some of the feedback and emails,
Sure.
but how much it would cost or what would be entailed? Changing signage, letterhead, what?
There's
mu-
very little. All of our letterhead's done digitally, so that literally is a keystroke.
Okay.
We don't send out letters, everything's done electronically, so there's no cost there. As far as the signage, most of our signs are all electronic, so there'd be very minimal number of that. And maybe I can ask Keith on that. Do you recall on the signs themselves, the hard part of the signs, is there lettering on those signs? Okay, so that would need, and probably then at Talala School as well. Okay, so that would, I think, would be the only place on the hard signs if we were going to add of University Park on there.
Yeah, and the intent, again, wasn't to stir the name up of the building, just was to add that little small component to associate the school with at least the village.
So, and just so we're on the same page, I've known you for 6 years, and you've always talked about that. You've talked about that in more honoring or recognizing the village to have an association of something. It was never in a fact of changing or being disrespectful,
No, not at all.
which is crazy of what we're getting.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had a 4-minute conversation, and I assumed we were going to have more discussion on that. The only drawback I have with what's going on is why are we moving so fast? But we had a 4-minute discussion. We didn't even have enough time to talk to the principals to see what they think, because then they can go to the staff. We didn't have time to talk to the mayors to figure out what the tax, yes, it is a decision, but I just don't understand the emails and everything. And then I got text that the staff at CSK is upset, and the staff at Talat, why? We're trying to honor them in their in the village to have something that Monee and Crete have, right? And you've talked about that a long time.
Yeah.
And it's just very concerning that that's where they go with the CSK's upset staff and the Talala. We haven't even talked to the principals yet. We haven't even got any input to figure out how we can make a decision to help benefit or honor our villages and our taxpayers. It's not about taking the name. Yeah, do we bring up the word Park Forest Elementary and Talala? Yeah, we did. We talked about it. That's what you do. You talk openly. You have a discussion. And I called Dr. Karen. I go, like, have we talked to the principals? And she said she'd reached out and talked to the Talala principal. Like, we want that input so we can make a decision that's right. So we're not. But then we get these emails, and I get a text that no one comes to the building. The board members don't come to the building. The administration doesn't come to the building. And it frustrates me because 3 years ago when we started the construction in this district, we felt, Nelson, you can agree because it was before your time, the three of you, the three of us were here, and we knew that Talala sometimes, are we always on the front talking to them? No. And we felt like, hey man, this construction process, let's bring them up to the front. And we had them go first with the LC. And now 3 years later, it's like we've done something wrong as a board, and when we're just trying to honor or give a little respect to the village. That's it.
That was it.
And again, it's got to just, we have to have a discussion to come up with a solution.
Yeah.
And that's my frustration of this whole thing is that, and I'll be honest, every email that comes in, I just get more frustrated. Because we didn't do anything wrong, but have an open 4-minute discussion.
Yeah, and when I brought it up in old minutes.
Yeah.
Or old news, and I just asked, have we gotten any feedback from the schools?
Yeah.
Nothing else, and
Yeah.
And besides the name change, I get, no one comes there, no one does this. Let's be realistic. No one here is retired, right? We all have jobs. The only person that was retired was your predecessor, Janine. And then the public voted, and she was removed, and Alex was put in that spot. And he has a job. And I was honest on the text, and I said, you know what? I haven't been to one school this year because my business, I'm busy. And I feel bad for that, but I'm volunteering here, and even if I can't make it to a school, Every time a packet comes out, I give it the attention and I look it through to make sure that at least when I'm giving a decision, it's thorough, right? I'm doing the work. But if I don't make it out there, I have other people that rely on me and their families, and I have to make that work. And when you get that, it's just like 4-minute discussion, and we get emails like, we're dishonoring Talala. And CSK, I mean, well, I said it clear last week. We can do whatever name, but we don't change Coretta Scott King Magnet School, right?
Right.
I said that.
Right, yep.
It's not about changing that. It was just, how do we figure out how to draw University Park in a little bit so they feel like, hey, man,
And that
that's
was-
it. And we want the Park Forest to feel the same way.
Yeah.
And that was the gist of it. And just minimal part. Maybe I downplayed it or whatever. I didn't think it was a big deal. When I saw consensus, I said, wow, we can move forward, get this. You know, our policy says that we can do it, and it was not. And I am so engaged, and all of us are so engaged. I am so proud of this board, of all we do, reaching out to the community. Yeah, I felt a little slapped around in some of those emails. You know, I'm like, wow. And, you know, Brian is here, and we got board members going out, and the superintendent is going out to all of these schools for us to be saying that we don't do this and that. I felt a little, you know, but that's okay. I responded back to those emails saying how proud I am of this board, and just that small component that we was adding. We wasn't taking away, just of University Park. I talked to the mayor. He said it's been long overdue to have that school included with some verbiage that says University Park and Park Forest.
We
mayor
want
as
them
well.
to be
I talked
engaged,
to both of them.
and we want them to be part of it because their taxpayers help
Yeah.
fund us.
Yeah.
Their taxes come here.
And I'm sorry, Brian, maybe that topic did not come up. We had a good talk, Janine and Alex and I and the principal. We just had a good talk with Brian a couple weeks ago, you know, just how's things going. So we're doing all we can do to be out there in the community, be out there at the schools. We got 2 schools left to go to and talk to the principals. And I really did. And you know what? I'll take the blame. I'll take the hit on this if it wasn't verbalized correctly. I'm here sitting in this seat, and then everything stops here. The buck stops with me. So I'll take the blame if it wasn't communicated right, because I really felt that it wasn't that big of a deal, but I was wrong. And I think maybe the name of Talala being taken away, you know, we had a very small conversation on that. Yeah, I can see that, and I understand, and that was never my intent.
Mr. Brown, let me say this. I don't think that you should, anybody on this board should feel bad about considering changing the name. First of all, people say all the time that people are upset. I could have a conversation with him, and I can tell everybody the board's upset, and I ain't talked to nobody else. So we don't know if everybody's upset. We just know that those 2 people are upset. And and I'm not saying anything negative about those 2 people, but that's just the reality of life. Maybe 3 with the text. That's just the reality of life. Now we have to decide as a board what we want, what we think is best for the communities that we serve, not the 3 people that have emailed us. And again, I'm not downplaying their feelings, but the 3 people who emailed us that are speaking for everybody, and there's a number of people who probably are like, I don't care, I don't, you know, we don't know, but we make those decisions. And we try to listen to the public. The public has spoken, obviously.
Our meeting went and then how that got into the community. Does
So
anyone
yes,
know
I
that?
can tell you.
Okay.
In fact, that's why I invited the 2 principals here
Oh,
today.
okay.
After the board meeting, I called each of the building principals because I assumed anything that comes at the board, I make sure that they were aware of that discussion. And I said, this was discussed at the board. Could you go ahead and talk with some of your people to start getting some gauges for me so I can bring the input back to the board? And that's what they did. And I've invited Mr. Main and Mrs. Schwolko here tonight. And if they want to come to the microphone, you know, and they can maybe give some input, you guys can come on up.
Yeah, I mean, we'd like to hear from them.
Hear what they found from their staff, so you can hear it from the actual principals.
Right, and again, when we had that discussion last week, it was just about throwing it out there, and then let's figure out how to, you know, like everything else.
All right, well, first of all, as I listened to the conversation of the board, thank you for your volunteerism on the board. I have been a volunteer for over 30 years, and I know that it is often a thankless job. You put in so many hours, and every time you check the mail, there is no paycheck. So thank you. I do appreciate that. As Dr. Coglany said, she reached out last week and asked if I would solicit some feedback from some of our school community members. And I did that in a pretty quick fashion. I spoke to approximately 20 to 25 of our school community members. I will tell you that the roles range. So we are not just talking about teachers. We're talking about multiple positions within our school community. And we're also talking about members that live within several of the communities that our school district serves, including University Park. What I found, first of all, I should say that this is kind of an informal poll, and so it was very quick and informal. Maybe 5 to 10 minute discussions with each individual. It is not representative of the entire school community, nor is it representative of my own personal opinions. But what I did find is there were a few things that really resonated with me, that were common trends amongst all of the individuals that I talked with. The first and foremost was, are we going to have to answer the phone like that? Do we have to say, thank you for calling Crete King Magnet School of University Park? And I said in my conversation with Dr. Coglany, probably not, that this was going to be on our signage, letterhead, etc. The next couple things that came about are maybe of a bit more substance. Crete King Magnet School is a unique elementary school that serves members of all of our communities. Obviously, namely Crete Monee, University Park, and Park Forest. But we also do serve a small portion of Beecher and Frankfurt as well. And so in the communication that I had, they said, well, if we say of University Park, are we being inclusive of all of the students that we're serving within our building? And so I think I can make comparison to our middle school and our high school, whose names are Crete Monee Middle School and High School, yet we're serving all of those communities as well. So there's a bit of a precedent there. I think my greatest concern as the principal of something that came up is, we are a magnet school, and we do our best to try to encourage all of the members of the communities who could be sending their students to our school to fill out an application. We want to fill our seats. We want max enrollment. And over the years, sometimes we struggle with that enrollment. And we've done a lot of great things to solicit enrollment. One of our concerns is that if we did modify the name, that we could potentially be sending a message that this school is for students only of University Park. And so if you do make the decision to change the name, I think that we just need to be very conscious in our marketing of our school to ensure that everybody knows that they have an opportunity to attend our school, regardless of the community that they live in. And I think that would then be
Is this
on our adults.
your thoughts, or is this what you're getting from staff?
So again, these were the 3 or 4 items that really were common amongst the staff. That is one that did kind of resonate with me a little bit more.
Okay.
But again, I'm here to share really the collective responses of our staff rather than my own opinion. No matter what happens, we are an international baccalaureate school who really lives and believes our IB learner profile. Two phases of our IB learner profile. We are risk takers, and so we are not afraid to try new things. And we are also a very open-minded school community. So whatever the decision is, we are going to make it work.
So Brian, if I ask you the question, just as you socialize
with us. Crete Elementary. So from that, you would think that school teaches all students from Crete. That's kind of what you was alluding to when you said people may say, hey, University Park, Coretta Scott King, you put the verbiage University Park, that they would think that only University Park kids are taught there, right?
That could be some messaging that we'd need to work on with the community. But yes,
And as well as Monee Elementary, you would think that only the kids at Monee attends that school.
Yes,
But
to our community.
Is that true? But is that true?
I'm sorry?
Is that true that only the kids that lives in Monee attends Monee?
No.
Is that true that only the kids?
No, sir.
Okay. So we have kids within the whole school district attends either school, right?
Yes, sir.
You got kids from University Park attends Talala and Park Forest. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and again, these are not my
Sure,
opinions.
but I can
This
see,
is our
I can see
messaging.
how it's perceived. I
Yes.
can. Yes.
Yes. And again, this is the feedback that was given to me. These are not necessarily my opinions or my beliefs. But yes, that there could be a misunderstanding among community members that because of the name of the school,
Yes.
that it was only open to those students who lived in that specific community.
Yes. And when we came to a school not being named, the two schools not, even though they are in University Park, being the sixth grade center, or no, it's not sixth grade center, the middle school, right? And CSK, both schools, one is Crete Monee Middle School, and the other is Coretta Scott King Magnet School. And we said, because of what you alluded to about the high school, that everyone goes in our district goes to the high school, and everyone goes through the middle school. So we looked at the middle school and we said between the two schools, because the history of Coretta Scott King was Hickory. That was a neighborhood school. And because that school was lost because of a failing school, was not achieving the AYP, that school was basically revamped, renamed, restructured, the whole 9 yards to become the school that it is, where all kids from the district may attend. So there is I know Talala spoke highly, a lot of things was the history of Talala, which I didn't know, had it not been for some of the emails that came in. So I can see definitely why Talala will feel the way they feel by having their name changed, not just of Park Forest, but Talala in and of itself. So thank you, Brian. Anybody have any more questions for
Well,
Brian?
just a reminder for the board too, the middle school and high school are Crete Monee because it's Crete and Monee townships.
That's correct. That's
Just like
correct.
Bloom Township.
That's correct.
We don't have the word township in our school names.
Right.
But it's not representing those villages, it's representing those townships.
That's correct. But at one time, that middle school was named a different school, right?
Correct.
And this used to be the middle school here
yes.
at one point. So yes, absolutely. And again, University Park was not part of a township because there was a new village came about 1969, 1970, where Monee and Crete had been well established. So you got two townships, Crete and Monee Township, again. So I was just, again, myself looking at it when I brought this to the board as giving some representation for those two schools, being Talala and CSK, to equate them to the villages. That's what I was looking at. Nothing more, nothing less.
And realistically, in every elementary school, we don't have straight from that town.
That's correct.
I mean, 20% of University
Yes.
Park kids go here, and then they go
Yes.
here, and then we have overflow from here, and it's really made up. All the schools are made
All
up
of them.
of
All
a
of them
little
are.
of everything, which is great.
That's great, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Maine.
Okay, you're welcome. And again, this was the feedback that I solicited. Those were the common themes amongst the number of individuals. If anybody wanted to have a further discussion with me, my door is always open.
Well,
No,
I'm
the
going to leave
feedback
you.
is helpful and brought up some things I probably wouldn't have thought of, so I appreciate it.
So you yourself, on a personal note, as the principal, do you see any qualms with adding the verbiage of University Park?
I think in my personal opinion, that I really do appreciate that we're not looking to change the name of our school namesake. We've done a lot with our school culture within the village, as well as our school district and our students. That Coretta Scott King must stay. If you were to tell me that we were planning on changing that name, I would definitely have a much stronger
Let me
opinion.
go back and ask the question. Only adding.
I think no.
Only
I
adding
think
to
I think
of University Park. Everything stays the same.
as long as we are communicating with families that it is a school for all, I personally have no problem with it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Any
you.
other questions for Brian? Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate you coming out on this cold day, and I'm sure you'd rather be here than somewhere else.
It's cold.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm
How are
Stacy
you?
Schwogel, principal at Talala. I too was asked by Dr. Coglanese to, for lack of a better word, test the temperature after the board meeting minutes and the agenda came out last week. And here's some of the things that I received. Now again, not a formal survey. These are sidebar conversations with small groups of people. Many of the constituents within my building felt they didn't have an opportunity to have input. They felt the decision was made, whether it was correct or not, based on the agenda that they saw. They shared things with me, aside from what Mr. Main said. They were worried too about cost, the rich history of Talala. We do have students, of course, from other town areas within our district. They were worried about the confusion with Park Forest itself, because we have a neighboring school district. While they do not have a Park Forest Elementary School named in their district, they felt that if we called ourselves Park Forest, we will add to confusion and have inadvertent students trying to sign up for school, becoming frustrated when they actually weren't our students. They were concerned about the mascot. Were we going to stay the Tigers? They were worried about the colors of our school. We were going to keep our school colors. I have some students, some staff members whose parents were actually educators within the building. And they're very proud that they are following in the footsteps of their parents, as well as former graduates of Talala. The one thing I asked them, what if it stayed Talala Elementary School and of Park Forest was added? Of those that I spoke with, they felt it was more palatable, that Talala would stay rich. They are proud to wear their Talala gear out in public. They're proud to say that they are a Talala teacher, and they felt that that would be a better option, again, not speaking for all, than completely changing the name of Talala Elementary School.
That's what you need. That's how that's how we make decisions. Is we get the information, we ask the people that's at the head, and I appreciate that's exactly what we were looking for. And after a 4-minute conversation, I can't believe how it turned the way it did.
I think it comes from a good place. I think it comes from love and what they feel attached to from even childhood. It's not necessarily, I don't know, from a bad place. It's just from having strong feelings of comfort around the building itself and the atmosphere that we provide. I think additional conversation would probably provide opportunities for people to share those feelings, and sometimes that's what they need to do. But I think keeping Talala in the name is something that many feel would be very beneficial to our school district and our school community. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And again, I did speak to both mayors, and both mayors was elated that there was a connection with either school to their villages, and they had no qualms about it. And the mayor of Park Forest, who we had such a tough time, he said, bring it out in open session of trying to connect with him last year. He said that would not be the issue this year. And I'm awaiting for his call next week that he will connect with us to be more involved with our school district. He said, move forward if you want to provide any, if there's any more input that we need from him, please solicit him. Okay, so again, both mayors was in favor of just adding those small words of the village per particular school. Any more questions with the board on this?
So, go ahead.
Yeah, just to let the board know, I'm not going to support either of these, and mainly, even if the cost is minimal, I don't think now is the right time, because as we'll talk when we get to the consent agenda, we're running pretty significant budget deficits this year, and I think it sends the wrong message to the community, even if we're going to spend anything on something like this. So anyway, just so you know where I stand.
Anybody else?
So the motion that is out is to just add, we're only doing one right now, right? That's the motion.
Yep.
Is 9B1.
Yeah,
Okay.
both we have spoke on both, but the motion is one at a time.
One
as
at a
per
time,
discussed.
okay. And so that one is just adding of University Park at the end of it, correct?
That is correct.
Okay,
Of University Park.
okay.
I tell you, this is a tough one. To be honest with you, I was looking for, just me personally, a unanimous decision on this.
And I'll be
just go.
totally honest with you, like Nelson, I'm not voting no or yes. I'm gonna abstain. I didn't give it the thought because I was so aggravated and frustrated that and I'm not gonna give a vote if I haven't done the work for it. I mean, I just don't understand why it went with that way.
Sure.
I just don't think it's the right time. So
Sure. And again, I'm about,
if you would like, I can move to table the item, and then we can bring it up at
Any other
at a
board
future
members feel, how do you, again, I don't want to ask you how you want to vote, but I don't want to split
And
board
even-
on this.
even
We've
if
been
it-
so together.
This is an item, even if it was voted down, doesn't mean you can't bring it up again in the future.
Yeah.
We're not committing money outside, to a contractor or something where we can't reverse it.
Right, that's true.
Is there something else that we need to know to give it a yes? Like, is there some information that we don't feel that we have, that we still need? Because from what I heard, I feel like I have all the information I need, so I'm just curious. Is there something else that you need to know before?
We're
you
running a
can-
positive budget variance.
So if we were in the positive, you would have been okay?
I'd be more supportive.
Okay.
So I know you can't give specific numbers, but can you just reiterate the cost factor involved that would do this? You said something about electronics. The logos and all of that would not change if we go.
Mo, I don't think it's the dollar amount right now. I think it's the public perception
Okay.
that we're doing something that will cost something when you look and we're running a $4.2 million, projecting a $4.2 million deficit this year. I think we need to get the message to the public that we know that this is going on. We're going to try to address it. We're looking at the root causes. And so frankly, that's my opposition to it. I think it's optics as much as
So the
anything.
perception really is not reality here. You have that phrase, perception is reality. So from, you look at it, and I definitely get it, Nelson. So from your point of view, we're talking about minimum costs, all right?
Correct. The only cost I would be looking at is probably changing the hard signs of the two buildings.
The hard signs.
Yeah, and I don't have an estimate on those at this point.
Okay.
Are we tabling it or voting on it?
Again, my position as board president has always been is to be unified as best as we could as a board. And I don't get that here with these two items here. So
Okay.
we're going to make a motion to table,
I put forth a motion to table.
or actually, I think the better phrase is postpone. Table, you put it aside to kind of come back with us today. So I say postpone.
Well, okay. So I put forth a motion to postpone action item 9B, 1 and 2.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All right, hold on.
I actually second. I said so moved. I moved it.
It's not second.
No.
No, I moved it.
No, you moved it, I
The-
seconded it. I seconded it.
Okay,
Essentially
okay, because
second.
he proposed.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, so to postpone 9B1 and 9B2, roll call on that, correct?
Yes,
All right,
no further discussion.
okay. To table it.
That's correct.
Ms.
Postpone.
Postpone it.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Albrecht.
Aye.
Gallegos is an aye. Mr. Sawalish?
Aye.
Ms. Woolfolk?
Nay.
Dr. Hall?
Nay.
President Brown?
Aye.
The ayes have it, so it will be tabled or postponed to a future date, future meeting. So no changes to school names.
All right. We do have a reason to go into closed session for the purpose of the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals. Can I have a motion to go into closed session for reasons just spoken?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Bill, second by Todd. Any questions or comments? All right, we should be in closed session, 40 minutes or so, and we will take action after we come out of closed
Roll
session.
call.
Are we taking roll call for
Oh.
these? Yeah, all right.
All right, we got a lot of roll calls so far.
Ms. Woolfolk?
Aye.
Mr. Sawalish?
Aye.
Gallegos is an aye. Mr. Albert?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
President Brown?
Aye. We are in closed session. About 40 Okay, we are back into open session. And we are on item number 6. We have any board updates? Just a reminder, and Cheryl, you sent something out regarding the IASB and
The dinner, yeah.
right, the dinner,
Yes.
and I believe you had May 4th in that email, but I think the F, yeah. Did I say, what did I say?
May, you said May.
March 4th, and I think in the FYI, it has March 3rd. Okay, just check that, I believe so. So I would like all board members, if they can make it, you know, we're gonna get recognized as a highly performance organization board. And I really look forward to everybody going there, attending that event. And board member Janine, I will hope that we all wear a shirt of similar color and not size, but similar color. And I don't know if Janine have a shirt or any.
Not yet, but
any personal?
we're gonna get it together.
Some stuff, right?
Yes, Jason told me
needs
he
some
has
swag.
some stuff.
Okay. So if you can look at your calendars, I would really appreciate if you guys can go and we can get recognized so we can promote ourselves and let Cheryl know. Right, Cheryl?
Yeah, I think that's in Manhattan Junior High too.
Yeah, relatively close.
That's
relatively
nice.
close.
Are we wearing our baseball jerseys?
That would
could
be great.
Oh,
The baseball
that's right.
jersey, you have that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good.
That's awesome.
That was good. That's a good.
That's
that-
I
okay.
know. Hey,
You're on top
Yeah,
of it, Doug.
that was
Dog.
good. That'd be
job.
spring training would be.
Ms. Heinlein's gonna have to send out an email reminder to all of us when we get a little closer to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay,
Yeah.
so love to have everybody there.
So
see, the
did you say it
baseball
was the
Because I'll
jerseys
third
were
or
a
the
great
fourth?
idea.
Third or the fourth?
It is the fourth.
It's the fourth.
It's the 4th.
It is the fourth.
It's the 4th. Okay. I thought I saw FYI. And speaking of
is the
FYI,
fifth.
this last FYI, and I think most of them are, it was very detailed. It was very well put together. I just really thank you, Cheryl and Dr. Cogleys, for putting a very well detailed FYI out. So that's all I have. Any other board updates? If not, administrative updates?
Yes, I have some really good news to share. Last time we talked, we shared a little bit about our health and wellness fair that was done January 6th, I believe, upon our return. So today what we wanted to do is we invited Dana Holman and Jessica Ellis to come. They are our extraordinary team that really put most of this together. So we wanted to share the video with you, and Dr. Hall, you can see, I think you've got a cameo in here as well, so pay
I got
attention.
a face for TV.
Yeah, so here's the video that we put together on this day.
So this is our first annual wellness fair. We're really excited about this event. We are hoping that it will bring the staff together, a sense of camaraderie for each of our buildings to come together as one and participate in healthy activities and events.
This fair aligns perfectly with our new strategic plan, which is focused on engage, empower, and impact for our staff.
So our wellness fair, our first time doing something this large for everybody, is really to highlight all of the vendors and providers that we have in our wellness program.
I am hoping that our staff will become more vigilant about their health.
I am Shannon Bruns. I am excited to be in the sound bath today. It was just nice to be in a calm, dark space and have some of the sound. We're excited to be starting to do more at our building using the wellness, and I know teachers are appreciative of the wellness room we've set up and some of the incentives that we've been using through the district. So,
Hey everyone, I am Dr. Todd Hoss, and I think this is an awesome thing that they're doing for the students and staff. I say students because if the staff is ready, the students will feel that energy from the staff.
I thought it was nice. You get a chance to see people a little out of their element, kind of relax a little bit, and then kind of make plans to do better or try to be great throughout the year. So I think it's a nice event.
That was good. I was looking for 10 push-ups from Dr.
So this is our
Hall.
first annual wellness fair. We're really excited about this event.
Dina and Jessica,
We
could you
are
come up
hoping
to
that
the
it will bring
microphone
staff
if you
together, a sense of camaraderie.
So I'm just going to have you share a little bit about how this all came about and share about the survey that we gave to staff. We had a follow-up meeting today with our staff to kind of hear how this all went. So I want to give you an opportunity to kind of share the story that went behind this.
I'm Dana Holman. I'm the benefits coordinator for the district. Can you guys hear me better that way? I'm Dana Holman. I'm the benefits coordinator. We worked with Dr. Kara, Dr. M to put on our first annual wellness fair. Just some history from my perspective. I've been with the district since about 2016. And one of the first things that I got tasked with per Mr. Surma was putting together a wellness fair at our opening day. So imagine my surprise to figure out that the wellness fair that they wanted me to put on was mainly a financial fair just for our 403B vendors. And so I kind of went back and talked to Mr. Surma about how we can build a better mousetrap on that as the benefits person and what we could bring in and what we could do and some of our thoughts. And there wasn't really room for that at that time, nor the budget nor the time to expand on that during opening day. And it kind of got tabled. And then when COVID hit, obviously we became a lot more concerned with the well-being of our staff and a mental state. And through those efforts and the initiatives with Dr. Kara and the hiring of Dr. M and now Jessica to assist me, we were able to move forward with implementing some of the wellness things that we wanted to do for the district. And so that's kind of how that was born. You want to talk about how we got the vendors?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Ellis. I've been with the district just shy of 2 years. And Dana often calls me like a spy because she goes, if anyone can find anything on the internet, it's Jessica. And so I will tell you, all of this took place, honestly. We talked about it, but we actually went into action 6 weeks prior. All of this happens in 6 weeks. So lots of stand up at night, lots of bouncing ideas off each other's heads, texting at 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm texting her at 5, and she's like, are you crazy? Why are you doing this? I'm like, oh, I just thought of something else. But to find a wellness vendor is hard. You can find vendors anywhere, but a vendor that is a wellness vendor, those are very hard to find. So I actually went on Facebook and I looked at all of the different villages who have like farmers markets, and they always have a list of vendors where those vendors don't have their information. So now I'm writing down their names, and then I'm doing Google searches, and then I'm texting everybody I know, like, hey, do you know the Jelly Lady, or do you know Tritium, or do you know? So it became like a part-time job, like even after hours, just trying to find vendors in addition to the ones that actually service us on a daily. All of our vendors have like replied back. They posted on social media that we were by far like the most fun district. Our cardio, they actually went to Bloom that morning, and we were nervous that they weren't going to be able to come to us, but they went to Bloom that morning because they heard of our wellness fair. So they got them to come before they came to us. But the feedback was that your staff was 10 times more amazing than Bloom. Like, they were like, no pun intended, but we actually had fun with you guys. So we're actually looking forward to, next year's making it bigger, better. We just need some more funding, hopefully.
So we have wellness champions at each of our buildings now, and so we've been tasking the wellness champions with going back, getting feedback from the fair. We've got about 250 responses so far, so we've urged them today, hey, see if you can do that last little push. Based off of how many people are
auditorium says it holds. We think that we had about 500 to 550 people that actually attended the wellness fair. And so far, the feedback has been extremely well. People like the day. They didn't really like the time of the year. They would have preferred for it to be warmer, but we can't win them all. We've discussed doing something in the spring, maybe in the future. But so far, the feedback has been overwhelming with people that have been happy. We'd offered everything from candle making to painting with no sipping, although we did give them some nice sparkling cider, apple cider, to do with their painting. We offered cardio drumming, yoga, everything, healing pause. Next year, I think staff said they would be interested in having bingo. They'd like us to do goat yoga. I mean, the ideas that they've come up with are insane. But you'd also be surprised. People are saying, hey, we'd like a therapist to be on site. We'd like to have, be able to sit in a room and just have someone pray with us. So there's all kind of things that we touched on that really have opened up our staff, and we think this is a good offering for them. Did anybody have any questions on things maybe we didn't touch on about the fair? I know some of you got to attend. Mrs. Jessica gave some people the grand tour of the fair and everything that we offered, and some people got to experience the food trucks. So hopefully those of you that did.
I want to say you all did a great job. It made me really proud to see what was going on. To know that you put it together in 6 weeks is amazing. And we only had to call the ambulance for Alex, and no, we didn't have to call him.
But Alex did the cardio.
Yeah, I did the cardio drum. He complained the rest of the day about how he got tricked.
Yeah, I got someone handed me a schedule and said, pick something off of it.
You talked to Ms. Griffin, huh?
Yeah, and she said, pick something off of there and then go do it. And so I enjoy drumming. You know, I do drum circles and stuff like that. Okay. And that's another thing that could be, I know we did it at the Juneteenth celebration, right? So I thought we were just drumming, right? And then this guy's like, no, we got to pick up this ball. We got to hold it over. We got to do a squat. We got to be in a squat the entire time. So yeah, this was, it was amazing. There was a lot of participation. I got there a little bit after everybody moved into the auditorium, and there was a crowd of people that didn't want to look for seats, and I'm like, there's seats. Move out of the way. I got to sit like right up front. And there was a bunch of seats up front, you know, but they were like, yeah, we're going to sit back. But it was great fun. I had a lot of teachers and employees that were like, hey, I'm glad you came out. And so like just having our faces as board members, Janine was there. It was important to show our faces and be part of that. So it was a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you
Thanks for
for
putting it
attending. Yeah. We appreciate it.
I love the enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I also went, and it was fun. Thank you for my tour. Question, is that video going to be published? Is it going to be on social media?
Yes, ma'am.
I love the fact that you said we were kind of subtly competing and taking mental note of feedback, especially compared to other districts. And so I thought that video would help with that, because why not look like the premier school district for these vendors, because they're going to start coming to us. Mm-hmm. And you probably won't have to be up till 5 in the morning looking for them.
I don't know about that, no.
So let me share with you, as you noticed, we are using local vendors, videographers, to come in and start showcasing what we have, because video, as I shared with you before, no one's reading anymore. But these videos say it all, right? So we wanted to share the video with you first, and then what we're going to do is we are going to push it out on our website, on our social media. This will also be used in adaptation when we go out to attract staff. This is what we're saying about them, because it is about our strategic plan, how we are attracting staff, retaining them, and how we are investing in them. We want people to know we put our money where our mouth is. We spent a whole half a day letting staff work together, talk, and they loved it. And instead of making them sit in there working in their classrooms, we invested in them. And I think there's a lot to be said with that. So yes, we are going to be pushing that out. And because I think, and again, I put this out on my social media with my LinkedIn, and I'm getting hits. I have a lot of people nationwide that are beginning to see this, so that they are beginning to see what Crete Monee is doing here, and so that more and more people start taking a look at us differently.
Great job.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you
great
guys.
job.
You did an amazing job. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And don't worry about the 5 o'clock and 11 o'clock hours. It's 24 hours in a day. All is fair games, okay? All right.
If I could just lend a little additional context to this, Jessica, Dana, and I had an opportunity to visit Cal Park 132 last May, because within our HR group here, they put on a wellness fair. They have 100 staff members. So for Dana and Jessica to put this on times 7 is just tremendous, and I just wanted to publicly also say thank you for all of your work in this, and I'm looking forward to working with you for the next one.
All right, good job, good job.
You can leave now because you stayed so long
No, you can
for
stay.
this
It's cold,
today.
it's cold outside. You
They
can
got to
stay.
get back to work
I told you we were
tomorrow.
impressed with you all for staying.
Yes.
Well, I thought you cared about the board meeting. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
Thank
think
you.
so. All right, thank you, Doc.
Okay, so I just have a couple informational items. So as you know, yesterday we had an e-learning day. We were expecting the cold weather, and thankfully the forecasts, were right on. We were in negative temperatures, so we had e-learning today, which I believe everything went well. When our team started meeting again today, we started learning and hearing from the transportation that we could not get a lot of our buses started because of a lot of the what was it, Jason? The gel was freezing and the fuel gel was freezing.
Diesel.
Yeah.
The diesel fuel froze.
Yeah.
They notified us at noon that at the time 25 buses would start. They got the number down to about 12 by about 3 o'clock. But we made the decision, or Dr. Coglany's made the decision to have another e-learning day tomorrow. Due to the cold temperature, it's supposed to be negative 15 with wind chill around arrival time tomorrow morning and overnight.
So my concern is I did not want our children at these bus stops waiting for buses that didn't come. We just couldn't do that. So we tried to keep some of our programs up and running, like our students. We're going to keep it, go to Prairie State and Kankakee. We're going to have bus services for them because we just need fewer buses. But to keep things consistent and to not lose any of instructional time, I thought it was in our best decision.
So you're e-learning tomorrow?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So do you know, Jason, if you can ask them, are they plugging them in at the end of the day? Because technically a diesel vehicle should have some sort of a heater. Like I have a diesel vehicle that has, I can plug it in case it's left outside.
Yeah, when I spoke with our transportation coordinator, they did have some vehicles plugged in. They pulled about, according to her at the Glenwood location, they have room to pull in about 7 of the buses. It's just not all the buses were plugged in, and I don't know if it's something that they didn't anticipate, given the holiday weekend. But like I said, we were notified at noon today, and they were going to make efforts working through the night. We just couldn't ensure it due to them not being able to get the buses inside.
All right.
And we did get notification out this evening to give our families the most time. So just as you were walking in tonight, I did forward that email to you, and it went out. It's on our website and so forth. We did have a couple things. As you know, Pam and her team are reporting for work, and they're giving food away for our families, our students that don't have it. So her team will be in tomorrow at each of the buildings distributing food again for those families as well. Unfortunately, we had a problem over at the high school with the refrigerator that went down?
The refrigerator and the freezer, we were able to get a service technician out late this afternoon, and we'll continue to monitor that and work on rectifying that issue tomorrow to ensure that we have a functional refrigerator and freezer at the high school.
Now your backup
Lose
should be
anything,
put-
right? Any food or anything?
No, Pam was able to pretty much get all the expensive stuff into box trucks, and then she also made arrangements with one of our vendors from Wilkins Food, and they made a freezer available for us.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can always put stuff outside.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we have the 2 maintenance box trucks. So
See, there you go.
we're using that, and that is some of the resources we're using right now.
You'll be good this week.
Any news about extracurricular activities? Are those canceled as well?
So I believe we're keeping them going at the high school, but not at the middle school. We did talk with Mr. Konecki, and we talked to both of the building principals to find out what was going on. So again, it's about buses. It's not about the cold in this particular case. So we wanted to try to keep as many of the things that we could.
I was going to say by tomorrow afternoon, I think it's going to be 25,
Yeah, it'll be a little bit warmer.
26.
Yeah.
So,
So yes, so those will still take place.
Okay.
I'm going to go on to the next item, very short, just website changes. So this is just an update. As we're continuing to work on communication, our internal communication as well as our external communication, we are knowing that we need to start kind of switching out the website. I started looking into this with our team, and we are going to be building out an intranet. So we're taking off everything for the staff on the website now and building an intranet, and it's going to be all about what the staff needs. So everything's going to be at their fingertips. We're hoping that when they turn their laptops on or whatever, their home intranet will come up. So everything's at their fingertips as far as the queue or putting in a work order or anything like that. So we're working behind the scenes. Stacy is our vendor webmaster. She's kind of outlined that already. So we are working on that, and we're also working with the Donovan Group to try to get some other kinds of training videos on there, to start working on staff chatbots as well, so that we don't have to tie up the emails and the phones of Jessica and Dana, especially for services and so forth. So we're beginning to really move in this area of AI. AI is everywhere. We are going to be one of the front runners in this, which I'm really excited about. But in going through this and working with our own technology folks, what we've discovered is that many districts, and I've noticed this too, are taking down their directories. The directories would have our pictures on it as well as our emails. And it's very difficult when you go to see their website. You can't find anything. And I started noticing more and more of this, but what I found out from our tech folks is there is so much hacking now with they're taking the faces off, and they're taking their emails, and they are doing just more and more hijacking. When we went behind the scenes to see who's looking at our directory, we did see that a lot of them are from overseas. So we are going to be moving quickly to disassemble our directory. I went ahead and talked with all the principals to say, is that going to be an issue for our families? Elementary's like, no, we use Dojo. Classroom teachers are talking to them. Same thing with middle school as well as the high school. So I'm going to be working with that. We will socialize that out there quickly to let families know. But I do think for our own cybersecurity, it is in our best interest to get this stuff off. So we're going to be making information on that and then socializing that on social media as well. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. And that's all I've got for there.
Okay. All right, and that moves us to number 8, consent agenda approved. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Is there anything anybody wants taken off? Is there anything anybody wants taken off before we get the motion?
I guess that was coming next, so, but thank you. Anything someone would like to take out the consent agendas before we?
Just be good to do it before you get the motion, I guess.
Yeah, cool. If not, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Nelson, second by Dr. Hall. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I've got some questions for Jason and Brian. Looking at the financial report, right now annual forecast shows a deficit of 4.2 million, and the more I look at it, I'm concerned about. I know you use forecast 5, right?
Yes, sir.
But it looks like, year to date, so this is through half the year, we've got a surplus of 2.2 million, and then projecting a deficit of 6.4 over the last half of the year. So scrub that, make sure we know what's going into that forecast.
Yeah, I can speak to that right now,
Okay.
and I can look into it in more detail and provide any updates in the FYI. Forecast 5 analytics works basically off of a cash basis, okay? And then our accounting method is accrual. So of that expenditures that you're seeing year to date, $2,419,785 were accrued back to FY24. You will not see that in the forecast the way it's presented because it's on a cash basis. On a page previously to what you're looking at, you can see the actual expenses for July and August were much higher than the historical or trend amounts. On a bar graph, on a page previous to what you're looking at, if you scroll up, see how high July and August were?
Yeah.
A majority of those expenses, or a good amount, $2.4 million, were accrued back to FY24. We did that because we know the importance of having the financial recognition score for the district. So for FY24, our operating budget, or our operating surplus in terms of financial profile score was just $20,000, where the previous year was in excess of $500,000. So Brian and I have paid particular attention to that, so we are able to maintain the financial profile score of the district and balance between reporting on a cash basis and then also reporting to ISB on an accrual basis.
But regardless, just on a cash basis, is this telling me we're going to spend $4.2 million more than we bring in this year?
On a cash basis, yes.
Okay, so that's a problem, and we've got to look at, where can we've got 6 months to go in the year, figure out where we can cut expenses or find more revenue.
Well, that financial projection does not include the first installment of the TIF funds that we'll be receiving from University Park.
Okay.
That will help out this year, but I know the board has had discussions about how to use that money and the money from Monee going forward. A portion of it is allocated for the alternative revenue bonds, a portion also for preventative maintenance. It's kind of leaving us towards a third that we were undecided with, and I've actually been having conversations with Keith about maybe lowering the preventative maintenance amount. But I agree with you, going forward over the next couple of years, we are going to have to analyze our spending so that we can utilize those funds, for new projects, or they will have to be used to maintain the operating budget and a surplus.
So, real quick too, on the transportation, when do those payments start coming in?
We received one in September, and then we received one in December, so they come in March and also June. This year, hold on 1 second, I can tell you.
And those payments are from last year?
Yes, they're from what was filled out on the transportation claim.
So part of the budget is going to reflect a little bit of change too, that if our transportation numbers are up this year, we're going to be spending more, and we're only getting money from last year.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then this year in Frizz, through the state of Illinois, we've received, comparing, I'll say September and December's categorical payments, this year we received $289,284 more this year than we did last year. So that number will also be higher next year when we fill out the claim for this year.
Is there a possibility in the FY you could probably, I think Nelson and I talked about it a little bit, but can you give us up and through January, roughly, maybe the first week of February, where our transportation numbers are last school year, from the beginning of the year to January 31st, and then from this school year to January, just to see if we're still on pace, or is the cost more? Is transportation higher?
Well, yeah, and I can tell you the transportation expenses are higher, just due to the amount that we've been expending on our McKinney-Vento transportation. And we put some procedures in place. With that, we've began invoicing districts for the cost sharing portion. That has been met with some hesitation from districts, because ideally you should have the cost sharing agreement filled out by both districts, and then transportation should be arranged for the beginning part of this year. We were kind of arranging the transportation, so we put an end to that, and then we're working with the districts. We've also uncovered a new vendor that could provide transportation for those students at a cheaper daily rate, and we've been able to use that vendor too to try and leverage and renegotiate with some of our current providers.
Is the issue with the McKinney-Vento students is that they were in our district when they enrolled, and I'm assuming most of these were newcomers that are now not living in the district, they've moved elsewhere. but we have to, because they started the school year here, we have to continue to provide education for them.
I'll let Dr. Melenchenko speak to that. I just kind of got involved with the expense portion of it, but his department oversees McKinney.
The transportation is more or less not related to the newcomers because the newcomers are here and we're not finding that they are leaving. If they are leaving, going somewhere else and then still claiming MVA. It's for our existing families. And the registration department over the last year and this year have put some new procedures in place to make sure that we're not just you come once, you're here forever as McKinney-Vento. There's a recertification process every year that a McKinney-Vento family will have to do. And they scrutinize everything that does come into their office to make sure that we are, we're following the law of the right questions that we have to ask. We're not going above that, but also, are you truly falling under this criteria?
And do all of these types of transportation expenses qualify for the 80% reimbursement from the state?
I'm pretty sure, but I'm going to look into that, and I'm pretty sure we include those in the transportation claim, but I'll include the accurate answer in the FYI for you.
And when you do that with the FYI, can you just attach just to see, are we on pace with what you calculated in your budget, or does it seem like transportation's higher than what we anticipated?
Yeah, I'll be sure to include that. And I do want to say that, of the expenses, the 2.4 that was accrued back to last year, look at my notes, 1.3 million of that was transportation expenses accrued back to last year. So,
and I understand why we did that, because it gives us a better chance of hitting our financial ratios for this fiscal year. But regardless, if you look at, it doesn't change. Our cash balance was here when we started. Our cash balance is going to be here when we end. And if we're running a deficit of 4.2 million, it's going to be $4.2 million lower at the end, right? Regardless of where you accrue it.
Yes.
And you're almost financing the transportation for a year too, right? So if our deficit is 4.2 million, but you're going to get 1.2 million back from transportation, but not until next year.
It does create a cash flow
It looks like we have
problem.
4.2, but we really could be a $2 million deficit.
Yeah, it does create a cash flow problem.
Right.
Okay.
I'd like to also point out that, the 600 objects are trending above. That is our out-of-district special education tuition, so we're going to look at that. And also the 7,000 object line, that's primarily due to the STEM labs that were included in the grant funds, and those funds will be reimbursed to us through Title I and Title II.
And I think you mentioned before that the out-of-district students, that money was trending up earlier, like there was more of it.
Yes, it is. It has been trending. Currently this year we're at, let's see here, 927,000, and last year for the full year we were at 770,000. So
last year you were at 770 total?
For the full year, yes.
And now we're at 927 through half a year?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so.
But like I said, now that we've got involved, we put some things in place, working with other districts that have their own transportation. We've been able to negotiate better terms with our current providers and bring on new providers that are less expensive. So while I don't expect that number to double for the second half of the year, because we're putting those mitigation measures in place.
And will some of that come back then, right?
We're trying our hardest through cost sharing and getting money from other districts, but since those agreements weren't put in place at the beginning of the year, we are reaching some hesitation from them. And worst case scenario, as I'll provide an FYI, I'm pretty sure that we can get some of it reimbursed next year.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Okay, good conversation. Okay, so Dr. Cogmanese, it is up to you if you so choose to read. No, you don't have to. It's up to you.
Are you reading everything for the consent?
Yeah,
Just one last question. So they started the construction over there on the athletics. I can see Bear and Vernon Jones.
Chimed in.
Is that for all the survey and the groundwork? Is that why 437? It seems.
Survey, groundwork. I believe that may even be some of the initial design work too.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a breakdown for this price. It's in our, somewhere in there.
Did they get any concrete in before it got cold?
We couldn't time it up, so and I was hoping for a mild winter.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's a good thing they didn't.
As long as it doesn't hinder the completion date.
That's right.
All right.
All right, should I start?
You can say A, B, C, and D if you want. It's up to you.
Under Superintendent's Report, number 1, approve regular meeting minutes of December 17, 2024. 2, approve regular meeting closed session minutes of December 17, 2024. Item 3, approve committee of the whole meeting minutes of December 10, 2024. Item 4, approve committee of the whole meeting closed session minutes of December 10, 2024. And number 5, approve press plus 117 revisions. Underneath business, approve Board of Education financial report. Item 2, approve a payment of $56,976.79 to Bear Construction for work completed at the high school. Item 3, approve a payment of $437,665 to Bird and Jones Construction for work at the high school. Underneath personnel, item 1, approve the personnel report, which consists of approved certified employment, resignation, unpaid leave of absence, educational support, staff of employment, reassignment, and resignation. Item 2, approve the 25-26 discipline plan. For D, teaching and learning, it's going to approve the Crete Monee High School Show Choir overnight field trip. And item 2 is to approve the 25-26 school calendar, and that concludes the consent.
Thank you, Dr. Cognizes. If there's no further questions or comments, have a roll call, please, Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Albrecht?
Aye.
Mr. Gallegos is an aye. Mr. Sawalish?
Aye.
Ms. Woolfolk? Dr. Hall?
Aye.
President Brown?
Aye. Motion carried. On number 9, action report, A, Alpha Business. Number 1, approve the bid results submitted by First Student for regular education student transportation services. Can I have a motion to do as what I so read?
Moved.
Bill?
Yep.
You moved it? Any second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Hall. Any questions or comments? If not, roll call, please.
Ms. Woolfolk?
Aye.
Mr. Sawalish?
Aye.
Gallegos is an aye. Mr. Albrecht?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
President Brown?
Aye, motion carried. Number 9, Bravo was already discussed. And that takes us over to number 10, any old business.
I have a question. And maybe we covered this before. For the superintendent. The property you were talking about possibly purchasing and bringing our students, special needs students back. Is that still on the table, or is that something you're looking at, or the building in Crete?
That's been bought.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, they bought that. That's the
Township?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
And they're right now, they're really working on getting community into a variety of things right now, so.
Okay, any other old business?
Do we have an update on the MEC building?
Yes, I can provide an update. I spoke with Mr. Gleason today. We're having trouble getting an accurate legal description to put in sale documents. He reached out to a title company. They weren't able to do it, so they're working with a surveyor to get the accurate or appropriate legal description for the property.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Thank you, Bill. Good question. Any other old business? New business? I got one here, if no one else have anything on new business. There's some conversation, and Dr. Cognizes and I talked a little bit about this, about potentially short cycling our committee as a whole meeting to not have it once a month, possibly have it as needed, maybe 3 times a year when it constitute or necessitate having discussions on things. So, what do you guys, again, for the longest, maybe the first 10 years, 8 years that I was on the board, we did not have a committee as a whole. We just had a regular board meeting. We had subcommittee meetings prior to us trying a committee as a whole as a pilot. But just want to know your thoughts on it.
My only thought on the committee of the whole is it gives us opportunity to have a conversation or discussion on things without rushing to vote on it. Because if you get to the one meeting and you're going to have a discussion, if you have a question, then it tables to another meet the next month.
And that, for me, if we were doing the short term, I didn't mind. But if we're talking about permanently, I believe that's going to lead to longer meetings. And I think the reason that it's good now is because we have committee of the whole. It may work a little bit for a while, but I can see it snowballing.
Because
and then when we start, we used to have, if we have subcommittees, go back to that. Now they're going to be here more.
I didn't say go back to that.
But my point is, we're going to have to do something to get the information out. Then if me and Nelson are on and we can't get the information to everybody, then somebody's not going to have something. Then it goes back to, well, we didn't know this, and then.
And if we get to a meeting where we got to have a discussion, we're going to be here trying to figure that out and then table it. And then, unfortunately, like the finance stuff, we cannot delay. We have to vote on that otherwise to pay the bills. It's just my thought. I agree is that I think it makes the other meetings go by. These are a lot smoother from years past because we're able to have that discussion, talk about it. Then they can get their information, put it in the FYI. By the time we get to the next meeting, we should have enough information. And if we don't, we can send an email and get that on Monday from you to get that from your team. And I think it just gives us that 7-day window to have any questions answered that we need. That's my opinion too. I mean,
again, Dr. Cognanese, she knows, and whoever's in this position who works with Dr. Cognanese to determine the agenda. Some agendas are very light. There's not much to discuss. So do we use that and let Dr. Cognanese say, a judgment call? This month, we really don't need a committee.
I definitely think July is we stay with where we're at with one because there's nothing going on. But August is important because I think Dr. M would agree that we need hires at a certain time. So that has to is crucial. Then you get into September, the school starts. What if there's something going on, that issues we got to get on? Before you know it, you want to get to December. I think when is December is the
levies and all that.
The levy, the budget. You got to turn all that in October.
March, August, September, December tend to be our heavier meeting months. July is light, June is light, January is light. So, we have some heavy lifting months, like we talked about when you're making major decisions.
I'm almost thinking August through April is your heavy months, right? I mean, for sure.
November's not too heavy because it's always right before triple I, so it was light.
Do we publish the committee the whole schedule, or are we only bound to publish the regular board meeting?
Cheryl, I think we publish all of it, and that's what I'm saying. That's why,
What if, are we required by law to do that, or we'd only have to publish the annual calendar for the regular board meetings? And then, if we needed to, if there's nothing to discuss, nothing to prep for it's going to be voted on the following meeting, we could cancel them, but cancel the committee of the whole.
Yeah.
Do we take it case by case, month by month?
Yeah.
Or,
I think the July one is pretty much understood. That I think in the middle of the summer that's forgiven. There's nothing going on, but I still think it gives us opportunity. August, September, October, November, December. And then you go into break, and then you come out of January. I mean, that was great to hear. It's January. We heard about the wellness, right?
And mind you, we do slip in some special meetings there, here and there to vote on action items, whatever we need to. And sometimes those, for lack of a better phrase, those meetings trump the committee as a whole. So we don't have a committee as a whole. We have a special meeting.
Just because we're voting on personnel issues.
Like in August, we do the two voting
I just
meetings.
think it allows your team to not be here as much and allows them time to get the information to us to make the decision. That's all. I think he's right on that, is that it allows them to if we have questions, like we just had questions for Jason, you know, like, hey man, just in the next FYI or in the next month, we want to just know the transfer. It gives them time to do that without, if we're doing this on a night we're voting, I gotta have that information like right now. I don't want to make a decision or vote on anything that I'm just not aware of.
And then wasn't there like a training thing that you were trying to put forward and stuff like that? Is that off the table now?
Well, I didn't feel like there was a huge push for it. And then, you know, also with, you know, I think in April, like I said, when we have our new board at the table, like I said,
That's a good time, like May or June.
I think we go back, because then we have to start for everybody and I think freshen it all up.
Yeah, all right.
So, what I'm hearing is that kind of keep the committee as a whole on the table, but it does lend itself for some type of maneuvering here and there.
It's not that you want to be here that extra time, but I think it just allows us to have that open discussion, and I think it just makes then the next meeting, realistically, these meetings are a lot, in my opinion, they're a lot smoother from years past, because we come in, we have a lot of the information, we have time to digest it.
Those committees, subcommittees was brutal.
And you've been here the
Yeah, because-
longest, you know better than anybody
Yeah,
else.
when you had subcommittees, and that was before my time, but my understanding is subcommittees could meet, you'd have a budget committee or a finance committee that would meet. It would totally get rehashed at the regular meeting anyway.
Yeah.
So it was-
It was a redundancy
Yeah.
definitely there. It definitely was a redundancy.
Because you got 5 other board members
And you only
who
had
weren't
two
there.
board, yeah, you had 2 board members, sometimes just one that attended those meetings every month. So, but okay. Don, you heard?
I did.
Okay. Follow peace with all men. All right. Next up, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Bill, second by Nelson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? We are adjourned. Thank you, public. I appreciate you watching in the privacy of your own warm home. Thank you. Have a good evening.